How are those
Uh,
conversations? Like, how would you kind of characterize them? Are they positive? Are they, do you feel like, you said people are listening. Like, do you have a story of talking to someone about race issues where they actually listened and you got through to someone and they maybe saw a different perspective?
uh, there's been a couple instances where people, but that's the thing, like these people have to be willing. Like they have to show up like truly with an open mind, and open ears, and as you said, open heart beginning, because people can sit there and listen all they want and it can go in one ear and out the other. So the only people where I actually uh who actually responded positively to what I was saying and actually absorbed the information I was giving them, were willing to. And unless the other people who aren't willing, unless they experience it themselves, like in front of them, they're not going to get to that. In my opinion, they're not going to get to that point where they're willing to listen and learn from somebody else. Um, in my line of work, in hospitality, traveling, uh, these are supposed to be some of the most open-minded people, yet I know I work with some of the most racist people. Um, and it shows me, and they show me that through their actions, how they treat me, and other people call them out too, other coworkers. So um um it's very usually if these conversations come up at work, it's because they brought it up to me, and which shows me they've been contemplating it, they want to learn something. So I'm willing to have that conversation.
It's
Am I
totally the
tired?
opposite for me, by the way. Like,
Oh,
if
really?
yeah, if I don't bring it up, it doesn't happen. So that is very interesting to hear that people are coming to you. People do not come to me typically, even though I'm out here in the public. So that's very interesting.
I feel like I think when this really started taking off, people coming to me, was after George Floyd. And so our company was very vocal about the situation. Um, Obviously, they were shook. Um, the executives were like, clearly something's wrong. We see this video, something is wrong, and we're not doing enough. And they openly said that. And so they started listening and holding these meetings with these live streamed meetings with employees, Black employees, and they sat there and they listened. They didn't talk, they listened. And it was finally an opportunity for um, people of color in my company to feel heard or feel like they can speak up. Um, but the response to that also from uh, my white coworkers was that they started to ask questions, and they were like, well, if our white leaders are doing this, maybe I can try and listen and understand more too. That's my take. I've never asked anybody, but that seems to have been, from my perspective, a reaction from that. So
That's really interesting. So, wow, talk about leading by example. So the executives at your company sat and listened, and that inspired others to listen to the black employees and their experience and their stories. That's pretty incredible. I don't think I've ever heard of a company where that kind of like went smoothly in the way that you're describing, and it must have gone pretty smoothly because, um, given everything you've said so far, it sounds very positive. Is Would you say that it was a positive experience?
um just that change in the company with the executives doing that, I absolutely, because I actually feel as if um, I wouldn't necessarily go to the company if I experienced something at work. Like I would try and deal with it myself. If I experienced some kind of racism at work. But the company, like many others, created Black Lives Matters pins with their emblem. And I wear it proudly to work every day, and I feel comfortable doing that. And I do get backlash from customers when they see the pin. They look right at my chest, and then their whole demeanor changes, and their attitude changes from our interactions before, and it's so obvious. And I don't want to jump around too much, but it's so funny to me when white people say, oh, I'm not racist. Oh, I treat everybody the same. Well, I watch people treat me differently every day when they look at my chest and see that pin, and then all of a sudden I'm not good enough to serve them. They don't want to speak to me anymore. No eye contact. And I'm in my head, I'm just thinking, you are not a good person. You think you're a good person and you are not. That's not what good people do. Um, Good people do not treat others poorly. Um, but that's my opinion. Um,
Um, wow, that is so sad to hear that wearing a Black Lives Matter pin at work, something that your company kind of fought for so that you could express yourself and put people on notice that this is something that you believe in and that it has that impact is devastating but expected, right? Like, I mean,
mhm.
you had your wake up moment, so I'm sure when you put that pin on, you knew what it meant. You knew what it would, what the consequences would be. But just knowing about it, it doesn't really change anything, right? Because even if you know it's coming, like it comes, right? And it's the fact that it happens that you experience these judgmental people, people judging you for not who you are, not for the service that you're giving them, not for the person that you are, and the joy that you were just sharing moments before
Literally,
suddenly quashed.
literally.
Yeah, so I mean, I've experienced myself, so that's why I can say it like that. That's why I can. I'm not just talking from your experience. I've experienced it myself. Like I've seen people change their tune once they realize, oh, you're one of those black people, or something like that. So
It almost reminds me of grade school. Oh, you're not, you're just black. You're not a digger.
yeah,
Whatever.
and
It's
speaking of
like,
like that one, that was also said to me when I was doing a pre-law program before I went to law school. It was like a 6-week program in Des Moines, Iowa. It was all these disadvantaged law students from different backgrounds. So of course we had white males as well. People think white men don't get invited to these programs. They're in every freaking minority program. Like if
mhm,
there's a program for minorities, they'll be there. This guy was there because his dad spent 10 years in federal prison and they allowed him
mhm.
to access to that program because of that. And he said the exact same thing to me. He said, oh no, like you're black, you're not like one of those N words, like, and I was just like, okay, yeah, that's not like a thing. And we had a
Mhm.
whole conversation about it. He got a lot of education from me about that, about LGBTQ issues, about a lot of stuff. This guy, backwoods New Jersey, so we had a lot of work to do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.